warm welcome to this episode of Digital Dialogues powered by CXO Digital Pulse. India is in the middle of data center supercycle, I would say, with 1.5 gigawatt live capacity, and potentially we will be reaching 4.7 by the year 2030. India is no longer just expanding it. I would say it is reshaping where and how the global workloads will run. The next phase isn't just about adding racks, but redesigning power, cooling, interconnectivity, and policy to support the dense AI, sovereign data, and distributed compute at scale. That's why this conversation becomes more important that we're going to have today with none other than Pramod Deshmukh, who is the country head for Hyperscale Data Center Design and Implementation at Ramboll Engineering India. He sits at the crossroads of engineering, hyperscaler design, and national infrastructure, offering a grounded view of India's landscape. A warm welcome, Pramod.
Yeah, hi. Thank you. Thank you, Pratik.
So, Pramod, today we will be deep diving into the force that is shaping India's data center future, from say tier 2 expansion to energy innovation and systematic policy shifts. And I would say the bigger the picture becomes, it becomes more clearer. And India as a country now has this real opportunity, I would say, to define the architecture of the next decade of global compute. So, at this stage where India is scaling at such exponential speed and the kind of capacity that we have, I would say we are moving from capacity provider to capacity influencer. So, how do you see this India's data center footprint that is reshaping the global workload placement and the hyperscaler architecture, say, over the next 5 years or say 10 years?
So you are very right when you say that India is no more longer consumer, is moving to an influencer space, and that is really true. Just if you just look few years back, the cloud journey was happening, and then suddenly the AI thing has come now, and we being 100 crore young, Indians, youth population with everybody carrying a mobile or some connection, kind of a digital. We all have a digital life right now today. So we are at the same time, the amount of engineers we produce per year, 2 million engineers. And nowadays, every engineer is focused. He want to have some kind of connect with the IT technology and the AI technology. So we are no longer a consumer. We are the real true influencer. The kind of MNCs have come, their design work they're doing, from chip design, platform design, application design, a number of apps India has created. So all that is, and not just India, we believe, it is the globe who is looking at India. All the large countries are looking at India to be the right place to invest and make use of our talent. So I completely agree with you. So we are the influencer. And the amount of outsourcing work is happening in India is also humongous. So you're right.
And while we have all this opportunity, there are many barriers also, I would say, in terms, say, suppose the power stability, which comes with the kind of population that India is managing. Then there is grid quality. We have the land readiness. Then there is regulatory fragmentation. So all these points or say constraints have become the architectural choke points for India. And when you are sitting on the other side of the table as the architecture of these, designing for these hyperscalers, is there any blueprint for a frictionless future-ready data center ecosystem that you can look forward to?
Okay. So I completely get your concern in that question. You are looking for a frictionless an ecosystem of how to expand data center market in India. Which country is not going through that? I want to give you an example. India has now over 300 data centers, And if you look at the 5-year records, you mentioned grid quality, right? If you look at the 5-year, how many data centers were down because the power was not available from the grid? You will see all the major hyperscaler co-location, because of grid, they were down on an average 15 minutes in 5 years. So I won't believe, that India has a grid quality. Availability of power at a particular location could be a challenge because the grid was designed to cater to the large cities, medium cities, tier 2 cities, and all that. Now, there are experts who are doing environmental studies, and they are looking at the cross section of where power is in excess. Can we get some a suitable land through a technical due diligence or environmental study, and allocate these pockets which are suitable for data center? However, going deep inside the country with a data center will always be a challenge, because even you find a cheap land somewhere in a tier 2 city, data center are technology hubs. Not only just you have the building and the generators and the UPS and other power, the actual application of data is the highest compute power. Now, once you have a concentrated technology hub like a data center spread across 100 acre, 200 acre, you need to serve that the maintenance, the operational issues, the turnaround time for a spare part. These things become a challenge. So you need to have data center near the hubs like Mumbai, Chennai, Hyderabad. These are the hubs. So that is one of the important aspects. So people say, let's move on to, tier 2 city or tier 3 city, land is cheaper, power may be available. Yeah, you may be having a cross section of a grid, where 2 grid, 3 grids are providing tappings for a data center, feasible. But then these are the other operational issues for a data center, hyperscaler, because technology demands the turnaround time for a spare or an engineer reaching on time. These are there are challenges not only to India, but any other country also. That's why data center will always be around these large hubs. Could I answer your question? Yeah.
Definitely. And I think all these supply chain related challenges will continue to exist, maybe on a slightly larger quantum when we look at the tier 2 or remote cities where we have land in abundance as compared to the tier 1 cities and the periphery of that. But apart from this, with the kind of adoption of AI that we are seeing across India, or say globally also, these AI workloads are definitely pushing the bottle a lot. As in, it's almost as a kind of explosion, the kind of density it is. And when we look at that kind of churning or processing of data, that definitely turns to equivalent amount of cooling and or say consumption of energy. I think it's at unprecedented level. The calculations are off the charts, I would say, the kind of expectations of forecasting that have been done. So where do you believe that India stands at the chance to, leapfrog, whether when we are looking at these thermal innovation or say renewable integrated data centers, considering all these new compute supply chain demand that is over there, so that hyperscalers can deploy it at the kind of scale that makes us more future ready. So what's your perspective on that?
I would like to say that we have to eventually move these data center little away from the cities, because our cities are anyway congested. They consume a lot of power, and the amount of environmental impact on thermal on city is very high. So eventually we need a comfortable city to live, and therefore data center has to be little, not very close to the city, but at the same time some distance away. Coming to the thermal loads, eventually my personal dream is that we all talk about sustainability, right? So if you decide to put a data center in a location A, 100 years ago in that place there was no electricity. So in a hot summer day of May 15 to June 15 in India, if the temperature there was 35 degree in the noon, today with electricity and a data center, if I could have 35 degree in the same time zone at morning 7 o'clock, that means I achieved my sustainability on thermal point. Now for that, this kind of architecture, what we are running after uh, is not possible. But that require a different thing. At the same time, you mentioned liquid cooling. Liquid cooling is our hope. With the dense compute becoming very dense, chips are becoming extremely powerful and dense. Liquid cooling are able to extract. So my personal dream is having containerized data centers hanging on the grid, spreading across 1 kilometer, connected on a very high speed fiber. So that kind of a clustered data center approach, which is not very far away, it is, if we can dream it, we can do it, right? So that's how it is going to happen. And that's the future of data center, because the current model of having a hyperscale in 200 acre, 300 acre, first of all, it takes 24 months to build one, and we generally blame it on permitting. But one of the big factor there is the long lead time of many large equipments. In India, to get a transformer, it takes 22 months. When you bring a 220 kV to 33 kV, a very high, powerful transformer, nobody manufacture. You can't keep it manufactured. The manufacturing cycle itself is 15 to 18 months. By the time you place the order, after 22 months, the equipment arrives. That is the lead time of these capital equipment is the major delay point. Plus the permitting, the permission from the government, it does take time. But now the governments have, every government, I have seen last 3-4 years, practically every quarter in India, some chief minister is organizing investment conferences. He's inviting people from all over the world and running those investment conferences. That is really, the states are competing with each other for more investment. And some of them are ahead, like Maharashtra and Karnataka and, Telangana and all. But then this has become a trend. So governments are active. Large hyperscalers, very large scale is a painful thing. It's painful for everybody, but that's how the world evolved. Earlier, 1.5 year used to take to make a 5 megawatt data center also. Today, we are still taking 22 months for a 100 megawatt data center. But then that is not the solution. From the sustainability and the thermal point of view, and this liquid cooling, which is our hope, it will eventually, the data center will move into much smaller, containerized and spread across, so that the heat generated is spread across. Plus, the previous challenge of supply chain management will always be continued. So we'll have to work out something on that. So for that, many people have started working on standardization, standard design, standard replaceable model. Send it, replace it. So those are the things which is always work in progress, and someday we will reach there.
Okay. And while we are discussing on challenges, there's another challenge which I realized, as you mentioned, the government, is the policies. And apart from the policies, the talent. Because these are, I would say, two really strong pillars that need to be there in place to ensure that we achieve that kind of data center capacity and influencing capacity, I would say. So what's your take on this? That how fast, while the governments are taking initiatives, what systematic shift is coming in the policies? And secondly, what systematic shift are you seeing in the talent? Because eventually, human resources are the key to attain that kind of the tag of data center superpower for India.
So these days, governments are extremely cautious. They are aware the opportunity loss. If one state government loses one data center to another, they know what kind of investment they have lost, what kind of opportunity they have lost. But data center attracts huge investment. The people in the state start getting work. At the same time, the second part of it, so everybody is aware, and the single window clearance has come nowadays. I'm sure you must have heard. Telangana has, Maharashtra has, even Visakhapatnam area, the Andhra Pradesh government is doing so well, and they have become very aggressive. Coming to the talent side, so there is an acute shortage of talent right now, the specific talent required for data center, and which is an opportunity for us for being the engineering company, because we look into that market where there is a opportunity for companies like so. Uh, this talent gap will always be there because the data center being very niche. Uh, the way people start, so for example, people learn Java. So when engineers started learning Java, not one, two, millions were learning Java. But that kind of thing for a data center design or a commissioning service, the number of equipment goes in so many, and then in each area, achieving specialization will be a challenge. So those who are in, if they focus on next 5-10 years, they have really good future in data. That's what I believe. No?
Okay. That's great. So I think India's data center momentum is no longer a projection. It is undergoing that kind of structural shift that is required to place India to have that kind of a strong hold to become a superpower when people think of data centers. And as Pramod rightly said, we have dreamt it and we are doing it and we are daring to do it. The only key underline is that simple truth that we have the momentum. We definitely need to work on the talent, as Pramod mentioned. But yes, that strategic relevance exists. We have the infrastructure. We are the provider to align all these infrastructure, the policies, and the intent to innovate and exceed. It's all there. And I think the future will definitely be very bright for us because everything is getting ticked. All the T's are being crossed and the I's are being dotted. And we're going to definitely achieve what we intend to achieve in the next 5 to 10 years.
Great.
Thank you, Pramod, for being with us today. And I'm sure it would have been an insightful session for our viewers also. So a big thank you to all of you as well. And do keep watching this space for more such episodes where we'll bring all these experts from across the verticals, across the technology space to have these insightful discussions on how we are progressing, what technologies are coming to impact you as an individual, to enterprises, and what will be the strategy to achieve what's best and what can be done. Till then, thank you so much and do take care of yourself.